Hey, you think I don't know about YouTube? Well, I do. With today's story, you'll laugh, you'll learn, and you'll remember where you come from and recognize where you are going. The elders say, what the old sees while sitting, a young cannot see even from the top of a tree. So come now, listen well and let the story speak to your spirit.
Listen well, children of the evening fire. Draw your stools closer. Warm your hands and let your ears open wide. For the night carries stories the way the river carries fish, quietly, patiently, until the right hands are ready to receive them. Long before the roads grew straight and noisy with engines, before the waters of the Geba River curved gently through palm groves and rice swamps, there was a village in the green lands of Guinea Bissau called Bantanje. Bantanje rested between wide rice fields that shimmered like mirrors in the sun and groves of tall palm trees that whispered secrets to the wind. Mangrove creeks curled nearby like silver snakes, and fishermen's nets hung outside huts like sleeping spider webs. It was a place of hard-working people, farmers who coaxed rice from the muddy fields, fishermen who set their nets in the quiet creeks, and women whose laughter rose with the pounding of pestles in wooden mortars. The village belonged mostly to the Balanta and Mandinka families who had lived there for generations. Their lives moved with the rhythm of drums and seasons, planting when the rains came, harvesting when the sun returned strong and golden. At dawn, the women pounded rice in tall wooden mortars, singing songs that had lived longer than any person in the village. Children chased chickens through dusty paths, while goats nibbled at cassava leaves. The men walked toward the creeks with nets and paddles balanced across their shoulders. And when night came, people gathered around fires, sharing stories older than the baobab trees. The elders of Bantanje always reminded the young ones of a simple truth. The world you see is only half the world that exists. Among the villagers lived a curious boy named Kumba Jalo. Kumba was thin as a reed but sharp as a hawk's eye. If something strange happened in Bantanje, Kumba's ears would catch it before the roosters crowed. But Kumba was rarely alone. Always beside him walked a cat. The villagers called the cat Biri Biri. Biri Biri was not like other cats. His fur was ash grey streaked with white like river foam, and his eyes burned amber like oil lamps in the night. But the strangest thing about Biri Biri was something everyone noticed the moment they met him. The cat never made a sound. Not once had anyone heard him meow. Not once had anyone heard him hiss. Even when children picked him up or when dogs barked nearby, Biri Biri remained silent. Some villagers laughed and called him the mute cat. Others shook their heads. But the oldest woman in Bantanje, Grandmother Satu Kamara, would always say, "A drum that does not beat may still carry thunder inside it." No one quite understood what she meant. Seasons passed peacefully in Bantanje until the year trouble arrived walking on invisible feet. It began with small mysteries. One morning, old Tambafati discovered his chicken coop open. Feathers scattered across the ground like white leaves, but there were no footprints, no claw marks, no broken fence. The villagers blamed wild animals. But the next night, goats vanished. Then baskets of smoked fish disappeared from cooking huts. Then sacks of rice stored for the coming dry season vanished without a trace. Fear crept through Bantanji like smoke under a door. The villagers gathered beneath the great silk cotton tree where elders held council. Chief Bakar Balde, a tall man with a beard like white cotton fiber, listened carefully as everyone spoke. "Forest thieves," said one man. "Restless spirits," whispered another. "Witches," muttered someone else. Grandmother Satu leaned forward slowly, her voice thin but steady. "When the moon hides its face, not every traveler on the road is human." The people shifted uneasily. But the strange thefts were not the only trouble visiting Bontanji. A deeper danger was already stirring among the cattle. One morning, a strong cow belonging to Tamba Fati collapsed beside the rice field. Its breathing grew heavy, like a drum muffled in cloth. By afternoon, it was dead. Then another cow fell sick. Then 2 goats. Soon, animals across the village staggered with weakness. Their eyes dulled, their legs trembled, and many collapsed before sunrise. The village healer, Mama Indira Dabo, gathered herbs and roots from the forest. She crushed leaves into medicine and rubbed oils across the animals' backs. But the sickness did not listen. Day after day, the cattle weakened. Fear thickened in Bontanji. For cattle were not just animals. They were the strength of the village. They plowed fields, fed children, and stood beside families during ceremonies. Without them, hunger would soon arrive. The villagers prayed. They waited. But the strange food thefts continued, and the sickness spread like a creeping shadow across the land. Only Biri Biri seemed undisturbed. The silent cat wandered the village each night, sleeping between huts like drifting smoke. Kumba began noticing things others ignored. Sometimes the cat stopped suddenly and stared into empty space. Sometimes his ears twitched as if hearing voices no human ear could catch. And sometimes, late at night, Biri Biri disappeared into the forest and returned only when the sun rose. Curiosity burned inside Kumba like a cooking fire. One night, he decided to follow. The moon hung in the sky like a broken calabash when Biri Biri slipped beyond the last hut. Kumba crept quietly behind him. They passed the rice fields. They passed the palm grove. They reached an old forgotten shrine hidden deep among thick trees. The shrine had belonged to ancestors long before Bantanji grew into a village. Biri Biri stopped there. Kumba hid behind a tree trunk. Then something happened that made his breath freeze. The air shimmered. Shapes slowly formed in the clearing. Tall shapes, thin shapes. They moved like people but flickered like heat above hot sand. The beings carried baskets filled with stolen rice, fish, and meat. Kumba's heart pounded. The spirits stacked the food inside the shrine while chanting in voices that sounded like wind through hollow bamboo. Then Biri Biri stepped forward. The silent cat opened his mouth. No sound came, yet the air trembled. The spirits froze. Biri Biri's eyes began glowing brighter and brighter until they shone like twin suns. The spirits shrank back. One rushed toward him. But the moment it touched that burning light, it dissolved like mist under the morning sun. The others scattered into the forest. Silence returned. But the wind began circling the clearing. Leaves rustled. A smell of wet earth rose from the ground, and Kunda heard something, not with his ears, but deep inside his chest. Voices. Ancient voices. Many voices speaking as one. The sickness among your cattle was carried by careless wind. It will empty the land if left alone, but the earth has already prepared the cure. Biri Biri walked to a patch of tall silver-lined plants beside a fallen log. He pawed gently at them. Their leaves released a sharp, bitter scent. The voices continued. Burn this herb in every corner of the village. Let its smoke pass through huts, cattle pens, and paths. The sickness will retreat. The wind softened. The voices faded. Biri Biri looked back at Kumba, and though the cat made no sound, the message was clear. Kumba understood. The next morning, he told the elders everything. Some villagers doubted him, but Mama Indira Dabo listened closely. She went with Kumba into the forest. When she crushed the leaves between her fingers, their scent rose strong and sharp. Her eyes widened. "The ancestors remember us," she said. Bundles of the herb were gathered carefully. Back in Bantanji, clay pots were filled with burning charcoal. The leaves were placed upon the coals. White smoke curled upward. Its smell spread across the village, bitter, earthy, powerful. Villagers carried the smoking pot through every path, through huts, through grain stores, through cattle pens. Old women began singing an ancient healing song. Earth that feeds us, earth that heals us, let the breath of the forest drive sickness away. Children repeated the song. Men hummed along. Soon, the entire village moved together like one breathing body. The smoke drifted across Bantanji like morning fog. The people waited. Night passed quietly. At sunrise, Mama Indira walked to the cattle enclosure. The villagers followed anxiously. A weak cow slowly lifted its head. Another struggled to stand. A young bull began chewing grass again. Mama Indira laughed loudly. "The sickness is leaving." Cheers erupted. Drums thundered. Women danced. Palm wine flowed like river water during celebration. Chief Bakar Balde raised his calabash high. "To the ancestors who protect Bantanji." The crowd roared. Grandmother Satu lifted her walking stick and smiled. "And to the quiet messenger who walks between worlds." Everyone turned. Biri Biri sat calmly beside Kumba, silent, watchful. The villagers placed fish and milk before him in gratitude, but the cat only blinked slowly. Later that night, after the drums quieted and the fires grew low, Kumba looked for Biri Biri. The cat was gone. They searched the rice fields. They searched the palm groves. They searched the forest shrine. But Biri Biri was never seen again. Grandmother Satu simply said, "A guardian does not wait for applause." Peace returned to Bantanji. the cattle grew strong again. And from that day forward, the villagers treated every animal, every tree, and every whisper of wind with respect. For who knows which creature carries the voice of the ancestors? Even today in Guinea Bissau, elders sometimes tell children around the evening fire, never mock the quiet one. The messenger who speaks the least may save the village the most. And sometimes, on very still nights, people say they glimpse a grey cat walking silently along the edge of the rice fields, watching, protecting, listening for the voices of the ancestors.
My dear ones, this is where our story ends for now. But tell me, what did your heart feel as you listened? Share your thoughts in the comment, You know Grandma loves to hear from you. And don't forget, press that subscribe button, like the story, and ring the little bell so that every time I come back here, you will be the first to join me. Until then, may your paths be safe, fruitful, and peaceful. Remember, keep your heart warm, your spirit curious and kind.